Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Yarniprise, its ongoing mission to explore strange new project bags, to seek out new yarns and new patterns, to boldly knit where no one has knit before. So if you couldn't guess, we're doing Star Trek this week. Yesterday, the final episode of Strange New Worlds Season 3 dropped, so I had a watch of that. And now we need to wait for Season 4. But if you weren't aware, next year is actually the 60th anniversary of the initial air date, certainly in the US, of Star Trek the original series. So I believe they've got some things planned, not least of all Star Trek Academy coming out across the course of the year. Star Trek Day is not that long past, so I would expect to see quite a bit happening around about this sort of time next year for the 60th. So I thought we'd do a little bit of a roundup of some of the knit and crochet patterns that are out there on a Star Trek theme. So I've got my laptop in front of me, so if I am looking down, that's where I'm looking. And I'll put up pictures of the various patterns that I've come across on the screen for you, along with the names and the designer. Although links in the description are not the YouTube's favourite thing at the moment. So I'll do what I can do. If I can work out how to do a pinned comment, it'll be there, but no promises because I haven't sussed that one out yet. Okay, so the first pattern up for consideration has to be Mr. Spock. So this is the Spock from Star Trek pattern by Danielle Magalhães. I'm guessing he's Portuguese or Portuguese speaking. Looking at some of the names on the description, like the name of the yarn, for instance. But I don't know. So this is Mr. Spock giving the Vulcan salute. If you can't do it, I can. My husband can't. It really annoys him. Yeah, it's a nice little amigurumi Mr. Spock in his blue uniform with the signature on his chest. So I thought that was rather sweet and a nice little gift if you were in need of presents for Trekkers. What do they go by these days? I don't know. I like Star Trek. I was raised on sci-fi, but I wouldn't say I was in deep with the fandom. But I do enjoy it, and I don't like to miss an episode, and I am rewatching the original series. And I'll get back through all of Next Generation, that kind of stuff. But anywho, enough of my viewing habits. Mr. Spock, amigurumi. It's designed for sport weight yarn, 2.25mm hook, because obviously amigurumis are quite tightly crocheted. He's got slightly more rounded ears than I would have expected for a Vulcan, but I do like the little Vulcan salute that he's got on the go. And hey, it could just be from the episode where Spock becomes human in Strange New Worlds. That was a very entertaining episode. Moving on to the next pattern, or set of patterns, I should say. This is by Alex Michelborg, and there were a few different crews from Star Trek that they had on Ravelry. These are all patterns from Ravelry. It'll be a mixture of paid for and free, and some will probably be a little hard to find. I mean, this one, for instance, the pattern is no longer available online, so you might have to hunt around for it a bit. Originally published on the Yarn Geek Makes website, which just gives you a sense of the sorts of things that you can do with crochet. So I've picked out the original series amigurumi patterns, and just check out the hair on Mr. Scott. That's definitely an original series hairdo. So rather fun. So if you can find a basic amigurumi pattern, you would be able to replicate the crews by playing around with the hair and the colours of the uniforms and so on. If you can't find the original pattern, it was from 2017. This one's been made in worsted weight yarn, but I'm sure it would work equally well in whatever yarn the base pattern you end up using calls for. As this one is obviously, as I say, no longer available online, so maybe a little bit tricky to find. I wouldn't normally recommend replicating somebody else's design. I mean, why reinvent the wheel? But if you can't find the pattern, or if the pattern doesn't exist, sometimes you're left with no option. So next up we have a free pattern, and it's a cushion pattern, so Star Trek Cushions by Tink Jones. That's a great name. So this is cushions that are made to look like the uniforms. So obviously choose your colour, choose your rank or your specialty, and decorate your home, absolutely. And yeah, free pattern, can't complain. Got the insignia on there. So it's all going to come down to your personal colour choices as to how they end up looking. Following that, we have a selection of Star Trek charts. So again, this is a free pattern. The description says that there are 10 charts of characters, text and the Starship Enterprise. So only a couple of them are shown on the pictures on the main page of the pattern. So one of Starship Enterprise and then one of Mrs. Spock with a live long and prosper wording there. There are a few projects for this one. So we've got 15 projects, so you may well be able to have a little bit of a look around. So yeah, those Spock ones have been using socks quite a lot, and maybe originally intended for socks. I've not looked at the pattern, but the fact that it just says charts rather than the full pattern suggests to me that you'd be able to like lift them up and put them in other things. So that's published in Knitting and Com. So they get this pattern for free link. A bit slow to load up, as these things always are. But hopefully, yeah, that takes you to the website. So the charts are there. So there's a Captain Kirk one at the top, Star Trek wording, Chekhov, original series characters there. So yeah, it's a nice selection of pixel art versions of people's faces, the Enterprise, and It's Life June but not as we know it quote one. I think it's rather cool. So yeah, nice little selection of pattern charts that you can use for various things. I mean, they've been used here for knitting and crochet, but you could equally use it for cross stitch or whatever your preferred textile art, fibre art is. Following on from that, we have the bisexual Star Trek tapestry, which to my mind fits in very nicely with Star Trek's ethos, and you could easily change the background colours for your inclusive flag of choice behind the insignia there. So yeah, a bit of tapestry crochet, and yeah, easily modifiable to suit your needs. Free pattern, DK weight yarn. I can see that being made by a few people. It would be good for wall hangings or pot holders, that kind of thing. Following on from that, we have another crochet project. So this is the Star Trek TNG, so Next Generation Uniform Bag by Miranda Henderson. So nice simple crochet tote bag with the insignia on, using the colours of the Star Trek uniforms in Aran weight yarn. And looking a bit closer at the insignia, that's been done in felt and appliqued on. So actually a nice beginner friendly project. So if you're into Star Trek, learning to crochet, this could be a good one for you. Next up we have a couple of sock patterns. First up we have the Star Trek socks by Laura Homan. So these are some colourwork socks with the insignia on the ankles. So they would be quite a lot of fun to make. There's a good example pair on the homepage for the pattern using a colour changing gradient yarn for the contrast colour going out through the insignia. That looks very cool. So they would be a lot of fun to wear. And yeah, they were the pattern was deactivated for a little while, but this has been reactivated due to demand by the look of it. So that's nice. We've got 236 projects made, so out of the Star Trek patterns, this has been made more than some. So more than, I think, any of the ones I've got on my list to show you today. Some of them don't have any projects, some have a couple of projects. But yeah, 236 projects with that particular pattern makes it the most popular pattern out of the ones that we are looking at today. So that's reassuring if 236 people have made it. And the next pair of socks to show you Only 33 projects, but I still think that's not too bad for something that's pretty niche. These are the To Boldly Go socks by Stitchy Dragon Creates. So yeah, they've got the wording on it, they've got the insignia on it, and they're playing with colours as well. So yeah, 3 colours in that pattern, although I'm sure you could adapt that to any combination of colours that you wished. But yeah, they're rather smart little socks. And again, a free pattern. And next up we have another crochet pattern. Again, this can be adapted to suit your colour preferences or the rank or department that you prefer to identify with. These are the Sports Fan and Sci-Fi Star Trek inspired fan gloves. So very much a pick your colours to match your fandom. A nice pair of crocheted fingerless mitts. They wouldn't take a great deal of yarn. They wouldn't take very long to do. So if you were, say, heading to a convention and it was a little bit chillier than you expected, you could whip those up fairly quickly, made in a sport weight. Following on from that, we have a Tunisian crochet pattern. I haven't seen a Tunisian crochet garment pattern, I don't think, prior to this at all. So I was quite excited by this one, and this is the Starship Uniform by Patrick Hasselzine. So this is obviously inspired by the uniforms with the addition of the sporty thumb hole in the sleeves. We've got a zip front on it, and yeah, choose your colours to make it fit your own needs. So I quite liked the look of that. It looks like it's largely simple stitch. So yeah, not done a garment in Tunisian crochet, as I say, so that's interesting me. Following on from that, we have another sweater pattern. This is the Wesley Crusher sweater for adults by Becky Lee, and Becky Lee has done a kids version, which is the Acting Ensign Wesley Crusher sweater pattern. This is the iconic striped sweater with the Acting Ensign stripes on the sleeve from The Next Generation, worn by Will Wheaton. But that's the sweater that I always think of when I think of Will Wheaton as Wesley Crusher. Quite a formative character in my teenage years. Moving on to another garment pattern. This is the Trek Girl Dresses by Joan of Dark, aka Tony Carr. So this is in Knit for Nerds, which is 30 projects, science fiction, comic books, fantasy. So this is a dress pattern based on the classic Star Trek female character uniform, particularly from the early seasons and the original season when they wore the quite 60s inspired mini dress uniforms. So yeah, a few garments, a few accessories, and a few homeware bits and pieces. So I think it's only fair to end today's video with what is quite possibly the most iconic project of them all, and that is the Batleth Scarf by Kimberly Ginter, published in The Giving Flower. So when it's laid out flat, it looks like a batleth, Klingon batleth, but you wear it as a scarf. I mean, it's genius. Absolute genius. So there we have it, my roundup of some Star Trek inspired patterns to get you ready for the 60th anniversary next year. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. In the meantime, there's this one here that may be of interest to you, and I will see you soon. But until then, knit long and prosper.